Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tage with HotFireMTG, and just going to do a quick little deck tech video, talk a little bit about the pool that I got on Friday night of the pre-release last weekend, show you the deck that I played, went 3-0-1 with it. So let's get right into this. This is the pool I had. First, let's talk about what I decided not to play. Right off the bat, I thought my black was pretty weak. Banehound, I mean, it's pretty good one drop. Vampire Opportunist, Lazotep Reaver is a pretty good card. Eternal Taskmaster can be pretty good. Enters tapped though. Return something from your graveyard. You got to pay 3 for it though. Spark Reaver. Spark Reaver's okay. I mean, if you got a bunch of tokens you can generate, then sack a creature to gain a life and draw a card. Not bad. Vraska's Finisher is a great card. If I was playing black, 100% I'd be playing that card. Terrible card. Tithbreaker Giant, not too bad. If you just need a big creature out. Kaya's Ghost Form, that's a really good card. Did some work for me when I played a draft on Arena. Aid the Fallen, again, not bad. Unlikely Aid. Davriel's Shadow Fuge. Not a bad card, but I mean, I had 2 of them, so I thought right away, I thought my black was pretty weak. So then I considered playing blue-white. I really liked the spells I had in blue-white. Reason being, I had just a whole bunch of Amass. So Lazotep Plating, Amass 1, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Callous Dismissal also lets you Amass 1. Contentious Plan is proliferate, draw a card, so works great once you start amassing and getting 1/1 counters on zombies. Had Dovin, Hand of Control. Kazmina, Enigmatic Mentor. Crush Descent also lets you amass 2. Relentless Advance lets you amass 3. And then some pretty good late game removal, unconditional removal, exile, and then proliferate. So, I mean, I really liked the way this looked with all the proliferate and all the amass triggers, but the creatures that I had in blue and white that you see here were kind of weak. I didn't really like the curves. So you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 drops. I didn't really like the curve. There was some good stuff going on here, possibly with the proliferate. Rising Populace. When a creature or another planeswalker you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on it. The Flux Channeler also lets you proliferate. The Makeshift Battalion, when it and 2 other creatures attack, put a 1/1 counter on it. So there's ways to put 1/1 counters with these, which works really well with proliferate. The Thunder Drake, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on it. And the Elite Guard Mage, just a pretty good card. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life, draw a card, pay 4 for a 2/3 flyer. So not bad. Enforcer Griffin, decent card, 4 and a white for a 3/4 flyer. And then Kiora's Dambreaker, just a big card that also lets you proliferate. So tons of possibility for counters there, proliferating and amassing. But I just didn't really like the creatures. And once I show you guys what I decided to play, I think you'll understand why I did not go blue-white, even though it looked pretty good. It looked like it had some pretty good synergies, and it was the first pre-release of the weekend, so I really wanted to try playing with the new mechanics, amass and proliferate. I really wanted to try it, but the rest of my pool looked like this. So let's get right down to the good stuff here. So promo, Chandra, Fire Artisan, and then a regular Chandra, and then a Nissa. So right there I was like, there's no way I'm not playing this. So my other promo, I managed to get 2 rares. My rare promo was the Mobilized District, which is pretty good land, makes a way to create creatures. And in the Planeswalker slot, and my promo was the Chandra, which was pretty sweet. So 2 Chandras and a Nissa, there's no way I'm not playing green-white, right? So let's take a look at at the creatures I decided to play in these two colors. I mean, I also got a Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is pretty ridiculous. So whenever it attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to its power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then exile it. So I mean, that works really well. I'll show you a couple of the spells I had with that worked really well with that. Thundering Siratok, just a nice big creature. Paradise Druid, great for ramping. Pollen Bright Druid gets you 1/1 counter or proliferate. Arboreal Grazer, great card. I mean, 1 green for 0 and a 3 with reach, so fantastic early blocker. And when it enters the battlefield, you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Are you kidding me? So between that and the Paradise Druid, I had some good ramping opportunities. The Raging Crunch, I mean, can't attack alone, but 2 and a red for 4/3. Really good card. Chain Whip Cyclops, another really good card. Great mana sink to keep something from blocking. Tybalt's Rager, and again, another good mana sink. Give it +2 until end of turn. +2/+0. Grim Initiate, just a really good 1-drop, 1 red for 1/1 first strike, and when it dies, it amasses. Spell Gorger, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. Another Pollen Bright Druid, which was fantastic, and another Raging Crunch. And then the Crunch Wrangler, which when a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it. And of course I had, the Thundering Siratok and Raging Crunch, and 2 Raging Crunches actually. So that worked really well, because anytime any of those enter, you put a 1/1 counter on it. So let's take a quick look at the spells I was running. So I mean, Chandra, just ridiculous. Whenever one or more loyalty counters are removed from it, she deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn for +1. I mean, that's just fantastic. And -7, exile the top 7 cards of your library, and you may play them this turn. And of course, if you do -7, she deals -7 damage to the opponent or a planeswalker they control. I mean, it's amazing. I also had the Mobilized District, which is just a great. I mean, it doesn't enter tapped. Tap it for colorless, and it's a great, again, late game mana sink to turn it into a creature with vigilance until end of turn. Really good card. So I had 2 Chandras. Nissa, I mean, Nissa won me some games, let me be honest. If you can protect her until she gets her ultimate off, I mean, it's just ridiculous. She turns lands into 3/3 creatures basically that have vigilance and haste, and if you can get the ultimate off, which I was able to a few times, she searches for all your forests, and then you can just make a whole ton of creatures. It's ridiculous. So Samoot's okay. Creatures you control have haste. His -1 also gives creatures haste, which is kind of weird, strangely redundant, but target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn, and it lets you scry 1. So Samoot works fantastically with Dreadhorde Arcanist. I mean, if you can get both of those cards, because Samoot gives the Arcanist +2, which means when the Arcanist attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So I mean, Samoot and Dreadhorde Arcanist, fantastic together. So I was definitely playing the Samoot for that reason. Chandra's Triumph obviously deals 3 damage to target creature, and if you control a Chandra Planeswalker, 5 damage instead. I had 2 Chandra Planeswalkers. Jaya's Greeting, fantastic card, 3 damage to target creature and scry 1 for 1 and a red. Amazing card. Amazing card in limited. Chandra's Pyrohelix, 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Just solid removal. Samoot's Sprint, target creature blitz +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn, and the fact that you can scry 1. Coupled with the fact that it was only a 1-drop, so it works really well with Dreadhorde Arcanist. Allows you to play Samoot's Sprint from your graveyard. If you have it in your graveyard and Dreadhorde Arcanist attacks, you can cast Samoot's Sprint again without paying its mana cost and get to scry again. Very good. Steady Aim, just a way to save a creature, instant, give it +1/+4 and gain reach until end of turn. Great way to kill a flyer. And Giant Growth, again, same thing as Samut's Sprint. It only has a 1 casting cost, so it works really well with Dreadhorde Arcanist. So that's basically it. That's basically the deck that I decided to play. I was running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spells, if you include the planeswalkers. So it's heavy on spells, but I mean, I had Nissa, who can create creatures, and I had the mobilized district that can create 3/3 creatures. So I had ways to create creatures. So I wasn't running as many straight creatures in my deck. I was running 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just 13 creatures. You know, normally you want to have 15, 16, but with the Nissa and the mobilized district, I had ways to create creatures. So again, this deck just worked incredibly well for me. I mean, 2 Chandras and a Nissa, how can you lose, right? So managed to go 3-0-1 with it. It was pretty awesome. So just taking a look at the rest of the pool. These weren't in my colors. Rouse Outburst is a really good card, but couldn't play that. Invade the City, also a pretty good card. Didn't run that though. Heartwarming Redemption and Solar Blaze. Again, very good cards. If they were in my colors, I would absolutely be playing them. Now, in terms of sideboard for the deck I played, had Vivian's Grizzly, and you know, on second thought, I maybe should have been playing this card because, again, just a really good mana sink. Lets you look at the top card of your library, and if it's a creature or planeswalker, you can put it into your hand. If you don't, put it into the bottom of your library. So, solid creature that lets you look at the top card of your library and possibly get a planeswalker creature out of it. So on second thought, when I looked at this again, I wasn't sure why I decided not to play that, honestly, because it's a pretty good card. Tibalt, I wasn't thrilled on Tibalt. Didn't see him fitting into the deck. Blind Blast, yeah, wasn't really feeling it. I mean, 1 damage to target creature, it can't block and draw a card. You know, I had pretty good removal, and I was happy with the deck the way it is. Steady Aim, I already had one of those in the deck. Heartfire I like, except I didn't see myself sacking many of the creatures that I had, and I had pretty good removal again, but I did have 2 of those in the sideboard if I needed them, if I came up against the big creatures that I had to do 4 damage against. Bullpen, not bad, decent sideboard option. And then speaking of really good sideboard, Return to Nature, destroy artifact, enchantment, or exile a card from a graveyard. I had 2 of those, so fantastic sideboarding options, and a Demolish, which could destroy an artifact or a land. So that's the sideboard. I mean, I had fantastic sideboard options because, you know, I could destroy enchantments or artifacts that were a problem, and I had other removal options too. So, I mean, the deck pretty much built itself, and it had fantastic sideboard options. And then in terms of artifacts, God Pharaoh's statue. I mean, when I saw this, I wasn't thrilled on it. I was like, okay, meh. But I had this played against me in an arena draft, and it was a pain in the ass. So it might have been better than I first judged. Spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast, and at the end of your end step, your opponent loses 1 life. It's annoying if you end up in a late game stall. It can make a big difference. I only played 2 colors, so I didn't need to go with any of the mana fixing. I had 2 geodes and a Guild Globe also as possible options if I decided to splash, but I did not. Anyways, guys, that's it. That's the deck I ran on Friday night pre-release. Managed to go 3-0-1 with it. Let me know how I did. Let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know if you think I could have done anything differently. Let me know in the comments. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks. Bye.